Okay, it's 26 minutes to 11, and joining Paula, Nick and myself in the studio is Jeremy Keatley. And Jeremy was down Collie Way in the Palmer Forest, climbed a tree in protest at the logging that is apparently going on there, and needed to be rescued. And we'll let him tell the story. Welcome to our program, to the Sunday panel, Jeremy.
Thank you, Harley.
I'll turn you on. Would it be even better so we can hear you? What were the circumstances surrounding you being there in the first place?
Well, I was a part of a small crew, and which was part of a much larger team in a protest camp near Collie. We were on private property, and we were informed early on Tuesday that the Forest Products Commission would be coming in earlier than they informed us of. And so we had half an hour basically to prepare a plan off the cuff, which led me to put a rope up in a tree. And
so you climbed this marri tree, and when you got up there, what happened then? You needed to be rescued. The whole purpose of having him, by the way, is that police want you to pay for the $3,000 cost in rescuing you.
Okay, well, before I comment on that, the police and an ambulance came in on the Tuesday, which is previous to the actual protest and all the stuff that we're commenting on, and that was the day that I put the rope up, and I was up there during the day in this marri tree. Nobody knew that I was there, and I came down in the evening, and it wasn't until I left my rope there, and it wasn't until the Wednesday, which is when all the action happened, that I ascended into that tree again.
And what, you couldn't get down again
by choice,
without help? That's
right. My rope.
So what do you mean by choice?
You actually cut the rope, did you, or dropped it or something, did you?
I did. I cut the rope.
So you deliberately waited up there to be rescued? No,
that's not the case. I had 50 metres. The tree was roughly 30 metres high. So I cut the excess of my rope, but I was still very secure in that tree.
And Jeremy, can I ask, what is the protest exactly about?
The protest is about the Palmer 1 Coop forest in the Jarrah forest near Collie. I have to read some bits and pieces from this flyer because I don't have them in my head and I'm quite nervous, so I'll just read a quick couple of sentences here. The Palmer Forest is situated near Collie in Western Australia's southwest. It is one of the last remaining high conservation value forests containing significant numbers of large old-growth Jarrah trees. And the next sentence is, I might read some more later, the area provides an important habitat for many native species including the black-faced wallabies, red and white-tailed black cockatoos, echidnas, wedge-tailed eagles, brush-tailed possums, fairy wrens, dunnarts and mardoos.
Okay. And you're worried about their existence being threatened?
The fauna, yes, and the Jarrah as well, of course.
Right. I just need to get something straight here. I'm just trying to work out how you climbed a tree, quite adroitly, obviously, but weren't able to get down yourself. What actually happened? I'm just a bit confused about the rope and the length of the rope and how much you cut off and everything else.
That's understandable. Yes, well, like I said, on the Tuesday, I secured...
You went up and down on Tuesday, right?
Yep.
No problems?
I left my rope up, yep.
Right. So you went back up on Wednesday?
Went back up on Wednesday, and I sat in a trapeze. The trapeze was... rigged or tied to the end of the limb that I was on, which was actually hanging over private property, not in the forest. The tree was in the forest and the limb hung over private property. And then there was the issue of my lifeline, my secure line, which was still rigged securely to the tree and went out to that limb, and then I was secured to it, and I had cut the excess of that rope so that I couldn't descend to the ground.
So you did it deliberately so you couldn't descend to the ground?
That's right.
So, sorry, go on, Nick.
So, okay, you're saying you didn't actually ask to be rescued?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so what did you...
hang on a minute.
Did you have food and water up there for a week or two, did you?
No, I had food and water, and I was prepared in that way, and I had wet weather gear, and I had a safety helmet.
Okay,
but you would have had to have ultimately been rescued. If you're up there and couldn't get down yourself, unless you wanted to start there and die, someone was going to have to come and get you.
No, that's not the case, because, and I'm glad you brought that up, because number one, I had a contingency plan where friends from my camp, our camp, if I requested so, they would come along with a spare rope, send it up to me, and I would have the option of coming down. Furthermore, I read in the media, but I didn't know this, I read that the SES were there, otherwise known as the FISA now, and they have vertical rescue capabilities. So the police had those two options and refused both.
But okay, Jeremy, but can you understand the frustration of people who say, yes, you're looking at protecting a black-faced wallaby and a few things like that, but we've been through years of this debate. All of us in this studio personally have been involved in this debate, been involved in covering the stories over the years. We've seen people tied to trees, chainsaws, things cemented into roads, all sorts of things. Can you understand the frustration of the average person who says, well, hang on a minute, you've gone up this tree, deliberately blocked yourself off. We've already had an old-growth forest policy. We've locked up various amounts of forest all over the place. Isn't enough enough? Why isn't enough enough? Why shouldn't, so they can say, well, hang on, you cost us $3,000.
Okay, well, that brings me to the next sentence in paragraph in this flyer, which says the Palmer Forest was meant to be protected under the Gallup government's previous election promises because of its high conservation value. This promise has been broken, like many other promises by the Gallup government. Logging could actually begin in Palmer in a couple of days, we've been informed.
Jeremy, can I just ask, you've cost the taxpayers $3,000 to try and to get you down for a cause that you believe so strongly in. Are you going to pay back that $3,000?
Okay, well, let me first say that has not been formalised yet. I only heard through the media that the police would try to get compensation from me. That has not been formalised. I've not been to court yet, so they have not made that application. Furthermore, I understand that they would have to take out a civil action against me separate to the criminal court case.
You feel so strongly about your cause, and rightly so, and good on you for it. But you still haven't answered the question. If you feel so strongly about defending the trees,
yes,
are you going to pay that $3,000 back? I mean, people risked their lives to help you, so...
Okay, I haven't been avoiding that question. I've been trying to give you and your listeners some background information, saying that the police had two options to get me down, and they refused both of them and decided to hire a picker from Perth instead. Furthermore...
well, they had your welfare at heart.
Furthermore, there were pickers available closer to Collie, and...
So you're criticising the nature of the rescue?
It wasn't a rescue, quite clearly.
Well, you're criticising the nature of the operation then?
But it was an arrest.
It was an arrest, yes. That's quite clearly. It was an arrest, and it was a protest. It was an arrest because of the protest. At no point was it a rescue.
Do you concede you broke the law?
You were on private property, weren't you?
Okay. Okay, this is quite complex, so let me get my thoughts straight.
You have to keep it simple for us.
Yes. As far as the police were concerned, I broke the law, okay? As far as do I think I broke the law, that's up to the courts, the judge, the lawyers.
What have you been charged with exactly?
I've been charged with... Trespassing and obstruction.
And when is this matter going to come before the courts, do you know?
Well, I have my first court appearance on Wednesday in Collie, this coming Wednesday.
Will you plead guilty or not guilty?
I can't comment on that either because that's a legal matter and I don't even...
Well, you can tell us whether you're going to plead guilty
I don't even know. Yeah, I haven't decided yet. I need to seek legal advice.
Well, we'd like our listeners to give you a call and have a chat to you, 922 118 882. You've had a listen to what Jeremy had to say, and he's brought us up to date with all the circumstances surrounding what happened down there in Palmer Forest in Collie, with, I suppose, the basic question still remaining, who should pay for the operation. We won't call it a rescue if you don't want us to, but the operation to get you down from the tree anyway cost allegedly $3,000. Who should pay for it?
Designing and constructing, even organising the end sale. So handball all the hassles to the winning team and feel right at home with your property development. Call Summit Projects 9333 0800.
This is the Sunday panel through until 11 o'clock. That's 13 minutes away, and then we'll be taking you to the footy at the Sydney Cricket Ground, see how the Swans go against the West Coast Eagles, the all-conquering West Coast Eagles. Jeremy, you've lit the switchboard up, mate. Let's go to June of Serpentine, first of all. G'day, June.
Good morning again. Good morning, panel.
Morning, June.
Morning.
Look, I thought this government was going to protect our forests, but it seems to me they've slipped through the loop by saying, well, if one tree is cut down in that area, then it's no longer an old-growth forest. We have got to start protecting these beautiful areas we've got. We've already got the endangered black cockatoo, the red-tailed ones. They've been coming down here since that big fire further north in summertime, and none of the trees in our whole area have the holes necessary for these birds to nest in because they're not old enough. And this is an endangered species. I really wonder when we're going to wake up and stop doing this. I mean, money isn't ultimately everything.
Good on you, June. Thank you very much indeed. We've got to move on. Plenty of calls. Peter of Hamilton Hill. G'day, Peter.
G'day, Harvey and panel. I've got to say, good on you, Jeremy. You should bill the EPA, who's just a sort of rubber stamp for big business, and you look at a tree as a beautiful, beautiful thing. They look at a tree as $20,000. And, I find it quite sickening that you can rationalise that. We've got these government instrumentalities that are protection in name only.
All right, good on you, Peter. Well said. And we go now to Tony of Hammond Park. Tony.
Hello, panel and Harvey. How are you guys going?
We're all right, mate.
Where's Hammond Park, by the way, Tony?
Pardon?
Where is Hammond Park, just for our information?
Franklin Springs. Franklin Springs, just Russell Road off the freeway.
Down south.
Oh, yeah.
Endicott.
Yeah.
Near
righto.
Success.
Yeah, it's about 12. There's about 15 different suburbs, new suburbs that pop up like mushrooms up there.
Right, well, we've got you. We've positioned you now, Tony. Fire away.
Right. What I want to say is, first of all, to Jeremy, I left South Africa, 15 years ago, to come to a new land of freedom. Now, he's expressed himself, and I compliment him for that. What really cheeses me off, and I'll say puts me off, is when Bullimore was saved, whatever it cost of the taxpayer, I'll pay tax, and like everybody else, it costs us thousands of dollars. I never heard the cops charging Bullimore, or the French was rescued 3 times.
Well, he didn't break the law. I mean, he was extraordinarily expensive and should have paid for it, by the way.
Oh, but that's right, but he didn't pay for it. No, and the cops didn't chase him for that money. He should have had insurance.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is they shouldn't charge this guy. That's how I feel strongly about it.
Good on you, Tony. Yep, okay. Diane of you're kicking a few goals at the moment, Jeremy.
You go.
Oh, yeah, I stick up for Jeremy. I
think we should
admire
take
him.
a hat
I'm not a
around.
rebellious person myself. I've always followed, and I've tried to follow the straight line. But I admire that young man, and if he needs any help, I don't have any money, but maybe we could all put in for him. If he has to pay, that's fine. Because quite honestly, I find it disgusting when we're up for $40,000 to rescue a yachtsman. We're up for $30,000 here and there, and for one young man that has the guts to go up there, is not out fighting and destroying things. He wants to preserve things. I admire him.
All right, Diane,
I
good on
reckon
you.
it's Jeremy for PM at the moment,
Absolutely.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're starting a fund before the program's over.
But you know what I find so fascinating, just before we take our next call on this, is that having covered the forest debate during the Richard Court government, it's interesting the slant of phone calls are receiving as opposed to what may have been received 5 or 6 years ago.
Interesting, isn't it?
It was an interesting change of public opinion.